And it's time now for the news review segment. I have three gentlemen with me in the studio. I'll do a quick introduction and then we get into the conversations. The Honorable Seth Champon, former Eastern Regional Minister, is here with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
You have vanished from the system small, but it's good to have you back. It's good to have you back. Elvis Dakon is the editor of the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com. Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
Then we have the Honorable Nilante Van der Poel, the National Coordinator for the District Road Improvement Program, DRIP, also here with us. Honorable, good morning. Good to have you. Well, we'll start off with politics. The NPP have announced the date for their presidential primaries, January 2026. Following that, people have made official declarations. One we can speak to is Dr. Yao Osei Adutwum, the former education minister. He has officially declared his intent to run for the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, NPP. And so we're going to tie that into the conversation of the change of plans, which some have described, the likes of Boache Jakon have described as building the roof before the foundation. And we'll see how it goes. So, Honorable, to welcome you, I'll start with you.
Right.
Honorable Champon, it's your party. We've seen a change from the bottom-up approach regarding this announcement of presidential primaries in January 2026, and then following that, the declaration of some individuals to contest the flag bearership race.
Thank you. Good morning to yourselves, and my good brothers who I haven't seen in a while. I believe that the conversation in the New Patriotic Party as a living organism is something that is welcome. For me, as a patriot, my concerns on the propositions would definitely be aired in conference, which is not too far away, a few weeks away, because I'll definitely be in conference. And I will first and foremost thank Almighty God that I'm alive to witness some of these things. Reasons are simple. It tells me that society is dynamic. And so as you plan, as you work, you should always be mindful that things can change. It gives credence to the statement that no condition is ever permanent. So for me, I look at all these things from that telescope. Members expressing themselves, putting themselves up for service, I think it is their constitutional right and duty. Anytime they determine that they are ready, I know that the party frowns on its members who decide as such. So I congratulate Dr. Yao Osei Adutwum for having the confidence and also the ability and the strength to put himself up for stewardship in leading our great family. I will say that for me, once again, it is early day, and typical of me, I would not rush to speak about this conversation now because I have my day in conference. Additionally,
that's in July.
Yes, next month.
Yeah.
Additionally, I believe that what is more important to me as a patriot is the unity of my political party. I believe that in unity, we can do anything and everything. And so all that I pray for, and I preach, and I speak in the corridors, and in the little corners, and in the alleys when I find myself with fellow patriots, it's about the unity of purpose. Because once you are united, you can fight everything and you can do everything. That is, for me, more important than electing any presidential candidate. No presidential candidate is over and above the New Patriotic Party. The most important thing is about we working together as a team. We don't need to be friends necessarily to belong to the political party, but we need to believe in the ideals, in the norms, the spirit that carries our forebears, that our forebears left for us as a legacy, what we have come to inherit, what we have also lived for, which is so beneficial to the Ghanaian people when they offer us the opportunity to lead them again. Those are the things that I pray for, that with unity we'll be able to promote. And so I would, for my initial conversation, not go to town, but remain focused in my preaching of peace, unity, and stability of our political tradition.
But you need a leader who believes in the same.
Without it, you can't make progress. That is why I've already started my advocacy. Reasons are simple. You need somebody who would be able to unite this family, because it's a very big family, and it's a very family that is always assertive. Its members are very assertive. And so if you want to lead this tradition, you as a parent, and I call you a parent because every leader must behave like a parent. You as a parent must yourself check yourself. I remember our late leader, then the minority leader, subsequently becoming the majority leader, and former one-time presidential candidate, the late J.H. Mensah, the respected J.H. Mensah, once said, put that in our local parlance. So, person would do anymore, I don't want to check your answer. Because if he was very apt when he made that statement. Sometimes you need to do your own self-introspection. Am I cut out for this job? Do I think that I'll be able to? You see, putting yourself up for stewardship is not just for the New Patriotic Party. You're putting yourself up for stewardship for the entirety of the Republic of Ghana. You're using the New Patriotic Party as a vehicle because you believe that what the New Patriotic Party preaches is what you also believe in as an ideology. And so you want to belong, and you want to use that vehicle to sell yourself out and what you endowed with to the Republic of Ghana, and by extension to the world at large. Because once you get to lead the party and you are fortunate and you become the leader of the Republic of Ghana, you are to the world, because you represent Ghana to the global community. And so you have to, that is the essence of me going back to what J.H. Mensah said some time back. And so it's very important that the unity of our party is not forgotten on any of us in all the things we're doing. So as we speak, as we express ourselves of the differences or in opinion, I would not do same. I would wait and do so in conference. But that is where my voice is really needed on the propositions that are before us. If I really endorse it or I don't endorse it. For now, what council decided on the presidential primaries, the Constitution in Article 13, subsequent sections, give council that right and opportunity to take those decisions.
But it's binding. Can this be overturned at conference?
When we go to conference and amendments are put up and people believe that what council did, they want an alternative, it is within members' rights to move motion for us to consider whether we will work with or not work with that. But as it sits now, council have decided. And mind you, the council of our political party is not just me, Kwame Champon, sitting here. It's made up of minds, very experienced. And it's not just experienced minds, but people who have technical know-how as to certain propositions. And before this matter, the General Secretary is led and permitted to come out and speak on the matter. We will thoroughly discuss it in council, give every necessary opinion that we believe needs to be said on at council. So for me, I believe in what has been done, and I just pray that my other reservations, I'll get the strength and the courage to air them out in conference.
Let's find out what your main opponent thinks about all that is happening. The New Patriotic Party, your main political opponent, is gathering, is strategizing, preparing for 2028. With what they've put out there and from where you sit, what do you make of this?
Well, thank you very much. And first, let me say good morning to my brother and say, Akwaba. I can still see the eyes on your face. The eyes not better yet.
Still fresh from the visa.
And to Elvis and to all of us here, yes, for 2 weeks now I've been away, and I think it's good to be back.
We're actually expecting you on your birthday week.
He swept all of you.
He swept all of us.
Well, let me say good morning to our viewers too.
Belated happy birthday.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. 60 is not small.
Yeah, congratulations.
It's a very good 10 of man's life. You know, that's why we come on pension around the time. It's a pension time for everything. Well, on a more serious note, let me say, well, it's good. I'm happy the NPP have decided that they want to put certain structures in place, certain roadmaps and certain mechanisms in place in order to get the party back on its feet. I think it's for good. It's for the good of our democracy, if we have vibrant political parties, it helps in shaping opinions and also deciding the path of this country. No one can claim a repository of knowledge, and as such, when we all, in the midst of ideas, we are able to sharpen and also evolve the most appropriate path for our growth as a people. And political parties, if you look at the main objectives for political parties, they don't just only come together to win political power. They help shape opinions. They also act as channels for education and information. So it is good for us to encourage vibrant political parties within the system. Sometimes I feel that it is not even the best for us to have only the NDC, MPP as the most two dynamic parties. I think that other political parties should be encouraged, that they also will be strong enough to be able to offer the same level of appreciation of all issues, so that the citizens will have various opinions that they can fashion their thoughts from. Some of these other political parties also have quite good people, you know, knowledgeable people who, because of the performance of their party or the status of their party now, it doesn't make them get that voice and that opportunity, that platform to be able to air their views as much as they would have wished for. So I think that it is good that the NPP is reorganizing. But then I also think that, contrary to what we've all seen, the sort of character and structure we've seen political parties do things in the country, I think the way they want to go, I wouldn't say it's out of the ordinary. And I think that's why someone like Ejakun has referred it to building a roof before the foundation. Because a political party that has suffered such a humiliating defeat would want to first try and organize the grassroots and restore some sort of confidence and hope in the grassroots. And in that, it's also a measure of leadership from the grassroots level to the top. So when we suffered humiliating defeat in the year 2000, what we did was to have a reorganization committee at the National Reorganization Committee, and then at the various regional and constituency level, we had the same to reorganize the party. And that is why our performance in 2004 was better than 2000, and subsequently in 2008, we won the elections because we started a process and built. A political party, when you suffer a defeat like this, let me be frank with you, the basic level is where you try to do things right. So when you reform at the basic level, it restores confidence. And then that confidence builds up to the national level. You don't look at the national level, the apex, and still have the problems at the basic. So I will want the MPP free consultancy to listen to the voices of the people who thought that the party would rather consider how to revive the party from the local level, look at the way they elect their executives at the polling station level, right, to the regional and the national level, and look at all those things. And then when you have done that, then you create a sort of level playing field, because all these people will get involved in the reorganization at the level. All those people who have expressed interest will get involved. So everybody becomes part and parcel of the rebuilding. In that situation, when you now create the platform for people to aspire, nobody will feel that the structure as it is has been built to favor one person or create an enabling environment for another. So I will want them to look at it, as my brother just said, that they'll be going to council. I think these are the issues I will be expecting them to put across to see whether they can reconsider, because I seriously would wish that, but I've also heard some people that all this is a strategic move for the current executives to perpetuate themselves in their positions. Because the fear is that the annoyance and the dissatisfaction at the grassroots level, if they should put up themselves for Congress today, there's a likelihood that they'll be kicked out.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And so they want to protect their interest. And the only way they can protect their interest is to make sure they rather go to the flag bearership.
Right.
So that when they have gotten the leadership at that level, it creates a sort of stimulant for that leadership to move along with them so that they could have their backs protected.
Right.
For my brother Adutwum, he's a fine gentleman.
Okay.
I like him for his calm demeanor. I don't see anything wrong with him desiring to put himself up for the flag bearership. But I don't want him to also premise his qualification to contest for the flag bearership because of his performance at the Ministry of Education, because his performance at the Ministry of Education is both 50-50. There are certain things he did, I would think that he did right, but there are a lot of things that he also did wrong, which will not give him the sort of credit he's looking for.
Right.
He should go out there on his person, Adutwum, servant of this country. I've served. I may not have achieved a perfect score, but I've served in humility, in respect. You know? So then people will look at you from that level, but not about your performance. Because then if people have any issue about the performance of your government or your tenure as a minister of education, they will use that to discredit you. But when you come forward as you, Adutwum, who you are, and the feeling that, look, I think I would perform better if you elect me as a flag bearer, people will judge you by that. He comes up at the fourth person I've heard wanting to contest. You know, I thought that Jakun will put himself up now, but I've heard that he wants to be the national chairman.
Oh, okay.
And that is good. It's good. He's quite a very level-headed, senior old boy. I respect him for that. So Adutwum, my brother Seth's best friend, Brian Champong, is also up there. Close to 50% of our members of parliament now, and some of them who have left parliament, I know, are on the field campaigning seriously for him, for Brian Champong. I've also heard that Kenneth Japong, or I know that Kenneth Japong is also on the road already. He is also on the road already campaigning. And of course, the former flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The four of them, I wish them well, but I would say already the campaign has been a bit feisty and also frosty, and I think that they must tone down. They must tone down so that we have a much more disciplined campaign. I want to see if between the two of them is going this way. I want to see when Brian Champong formally throws himself into the ring, what it will look like. Adutwum will bring some calmness to the whole game. And for me, I want them to have, any one of them will be beaten by the NDC in 2028 with the same effort we put up in 2024. Any one of them will be beaten.
You think so?
Any one of them will be beaten easily. I don't see any of these people. I don't see any of these people having what it takes to be able to change the narrative.
JM is not coming back.
It doesn't matter. We are building the party so strong at the grassroots level that whoever will put at the top as a flag bearer will still win the elections. That is what we are doing now. We are not looking at the top. We are looking at building the party.
The base.
Make the base so enduring that the party becomes more like the strength and the spirit and the soul of the whole structure and not an individual. So that individual will know that it's the party that is putting me up. It's the party that is going to spare me to victory, and not he being the vehicle to make the party successful. So that is what we want to do. So at the end of it all, we want to build a party that is so strong, that is so dynamic, that is so resilient, that it will be able to champion whoever will put up to victory in 2028. So I wish them well, and I wish Adutwum well. He's a very good friend of mine as MPs. We have so many times of discussing issues. Me and him, when we meet to discuss issues, very civil, respect for each other. I wish him well, but I think that his demeanor is still going to give him some advantage over the 3 people who have already thrown themselves into the race.
Right.
And I wish him well.
Very well. Elvis, let's start off with Adutwum. Yesterday we had an opportunity to touch on the reforms the party is making. So let's start off with the candidate, Dr. Yaw Adutwum, who has put himself out there officially to contest. He served as Deputy Education Minister, subsequently a substantial minister, widely rumored to have been preferred for vice presidential candidate in the past election. That did not happen. But how do you see him as a person? And of course, against the 3 that we are hearing are putting themselves up for election?
I think against the 3, he's the one with the least chance.
With the least?
Yeah. In the
How
sense
so?
that this is an internal political election. And in terms of internal politics, there are dynamics that you have to weigh yourself against in order to establish that you have a certain chance. Dr. Adutwum, we all know, had not been in Ghana for long. He came in and won a parliamentary seat and served also in government.
Yeah.
To say you want to be presidential candidate for a political party, you first of all have to look at, one, in your members of parliament, what is the support, what percentage of MPs are going to back your candidacy? In the sense that these MPs are with the grassroots down there. You have to weigh yourself and ask, so if you say NPP, Dr. Adutwum, at the various local levels, how many people at the various local levels can say they have had a direct interaction with him and are people who will say they will want him to become their leader? Because people who are going to vote are going to be people who from the local level all the way to the top. And the majority who are going to vote are those at the local level, at the lowest level, those they call the delegates. So the question is, if you weigh Dr. Adutwum against the fact that if you go to all NPP polling stations across the country, at the local level, how many people has he had that direct interaction with? Has he had that impact on for them to say within the party? When we are talking about people who hold the party dear, we talk about people who there are issues even at various local level comes up to say he wants to help to address those problems at those local levels. I have not read or seen Dr. Adutwum be involved in some of these issues. So if I weigh him looking at the kind of considerations people will look at when they want to elect a flag bearer, I think Dr. Bawumia as a candidate already has done so much at that level. Kenneth Japong is obvious, you know, and I know, that in terms of NPP and the grassroots and his personal contribution at all levels of the party is not something that is hidden from all party members. If you ask anybody about NPP and Kenneth Japong's contribution, every member of the party, whether they like him or they can say, oh, I may not like him, but I think when it comes to the grassroots, when it comes to supporting the party, when issues pop up at the party in various constituencies across the country, he moves out there or send representatives out there to find out what are the issues, how he can help to address these issues. So it makes him really a candidate that the people at the grassroots, they can say something about, can easily say, we think this person cares about the party. Brian, as a person, has also done similar things, but not to the scale of Kenneth Japong. But for Dr. Adutwum, I have not read anywhere or seen any of these things. And if you talk to people who are like NPP people, they really, in terms of the local level and the grassroots, I've not had that feeling that he's endeared himself to them at that level. So for him to want to put himself up for presidential primaries in the NPP, I ask myself, has he done any study, even across board, to find out among the people who are likely to vote about whether if he comes up, he will want to be president, whether they will want to vote for him.
He should test his popularity
exactly
within the party.
What work has he done at the grassroots, and based on what evidence is he saying that if I want to become president candidate for NPP, I think people will vote for me. I think Brian, even with, I said he has done some few things, he's been smart to say he set up a committee to explore, to go around the country and find out whether if indeed he wants to be the candidate for the party, what are the concerns of the people who are there, what is the response of the people. Would the people really say that they want him to become the flag bearer of the party? So I think Brian chose a better option to go to the people and find out whether they will prefer him to become a candidate. And Dr. Adutwum had declared, but I will suggest to him that it would be good if he actually put together some study for the next 3 months, because the election itself is in January.
Yeah.
So if he can do some work within the grassroots of the party to find out his likability, whether the people believe that in terms of what the grassroots stand for, they think that he has their interests at heart. They want to find out whether the people down there believe that he is somebody who cares a lot about the party. As Honorable Nantia said, if you go and be focusing on your performance in government, in a primaries within your party, you'll be missing the point. Because the considerations people will use to vote for is not about your performance when you were an appointee. They only want to know whether you have actually established relations with them, the local people. They want to know whether you are concerned about their situation. And the report they've done, one of the key issues is that they believe that for the past 8 years, the party and government have not really cared about the local people.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons that they cited that many people stayed away from the polls.
Yeah.
So in terms of an internal elections, there are dynamics really you need to consider. And as I said, if I look at Dr. Adutwum, I'm not talking about his performance in government. I'm talking about what is his constituency within the NPP at the local level.
Right.
What is his constituency? Can they say if I go to the Ashanti region, which is the base of the party, maybe I can say I have influence about 30% of the people in the Ashanti region will want me to become
so it's more about how much currency he holds within the party.
And as I said, for Dr. Bawumia, because he's been 2 times vice president, he stood on the ticket with Nanado and all. He has been able to gather that currency.
Right.
Kennedy Japon, with his support for the party and all that he's been involved in, and most of them made public. We all know that when we talk about currency within the NPP, Kennedy Japon has established a certain currency for himself. But as I said, when I look at Dr. Adutwum, take away his service public office. But if I look at him as a person and within the NPP as a, does he come up as somebody who has established that kind of currency? So as I said, but you cannot determine how people want to. Maybe people want him, but I don't have any empirical evidence about some of the things I've said. So as I would suggest to him, he should do that explorative study that Brian has chosen. Not necessarily because he set up a committee or anything, but he can also find his own way of testing the grounds, of testing the grounds across board.
Perhaps he feels the time is limited. The election is in 6 months. He would have to tour this entire country.
But you can't wake up one day and say you want to be president. It's a long, you see, when we see politicians succeeding, Honorable, they are here, they will tell you, they don't start overnight.
Years of work.
If you want to be MP, your first point is to start whether you can become an assemblyman. And test whether being an assemblyman in the area, whether you can win an assemblyman election. And then say, oh, if I can win an assemblyman election, it means that the possibility of, you want to test yourself within constituency, local elections. Whether you can even win to be a delegate in your party, whether you can win a position in the constituency, there were only constituency elections. You want to test yourself, hey, if I stand for secretary or this at the constituency level, will I be able to win? You go through a certain process for a long number of years. That's what I'm saying. If you look at Dr. Adutwum, within the local politics here in Ghana, he's been away for so many years. But thank God he came in, he put himself up for parliament and he won. But to say you want to become presidential candidate, the level of work that you need to do within the party, the level of work you need to do for the people down there who constitute the majority of those who are going to decide whether you should become a presidential candidate or not, is huge. And as I said, if I just scan through the space, media space and everything, have really not seen that Dr. Adutwum has done so much
Very
work
well.
within the
Very
party
well.
nationally
Very well, Elvis.
to put him in terms of against Kennedy Japan
Bawumia
or
Brian.
Bawumia and everything. And I've always said this, and I always say that the politicians should look at a lot of things. When previous primaries, I was saying that Kennedy Japan was going to beat will have more votes than Alan. People were like, how can you say Ken is coming for the first time? Alan has been there. I said, no. If I look within the party, if I look at the currency within the party, I believe that Ken has more currency within the NPP than Alan. Not because Alan is not a good politician, but the kind of things that Ken has done that the grassroots can associate with, I have not seen Alan done that at the local level for people to associate with. And when the vote came, people were like, but how did you get to know that? I said, no, we should understand politics. I'm not a politician, but as a journalist, we read, we go around on elections time, we talk to these people. So we also gather some
you pick sentiment
information
on the
that
ground.
enable us to understand some of the
Dynamics
reasons
that
and the
will play
psyche
out.
of local internal
Very well.
party politics.
Very well. Very well. Let's do 2 more minutes each on this. Honorable, let me come back to you. The reforms and the timelines given. January 2026 is just some 6 months around the corner. Some say it's too little a time, and so it appears like a deliberate attempt to skew the primaries to favor a certain candidate. And just as the Honorable Nilante has put out, it could also be perhaps a strategy to entrench the position of the current national executives of the party. I know you say you're reserving your words for conference, but just a quick bite at this.
Thank you very much. I want to use my opportunity to also express the duties of being a member of the New Patriotic Party. Our constitution in Article 5 says that A member shall have the right and duty at all times, 1, to promote and defend the good name of the party, protect the unity of the party, be loyal and truthful to the party, abide by and publicly uphold the decisions of the party, carry out his or her duties faithfully and with honesty to the best of his or her ability, participate fully in the activities of the party, and ensure that the local organs of the party work effectively and accountably. And 7 says, pay dues as well as give donations for special programs and activities as may be decided from time to time by the party. You see, I'm not just playing my own style.
Right.
By the tenets of the group that I belong, which is the Family New Patriotic Party, as a member, you have some guidelines. And nobody knows tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm always cautious and careful to fall within line. But I believe that come what may, what decisions we have put ahead, we're all going to have our day at home. The good news is that MPP is MPP. MPP is not chickening out. And I know MPP is forming the next government in 2029.
You are sure?
7th January. You see?
You're convinced?
Why shouldn't I be?
NDC says whoever they bring, they have built their base good enough that...
NDC. So should I shut my mouth?
No.
I can't.
But what is the
essence
wow
of putting
factor
a
for
political party together is to walk out there and win power and serve the people of Ghana.
But you were a government in power yet suffered such a humiliating defeat.
Let me say this. Until 2016 7th December poll, which was declared by 9th of December, 10th of December 2016, nobody expected MPP to win by that slight. And MPP won at the time. It had never occurred.
2016.
2016. It had never occurred. It had never, yes. Nobody expected us to win that number of seats because NDC was in the majority at the time, and we came to surpass NDC as a majority and won over 169 seats for NDC coming down to 107 or 6 or so. Today, NDC has won 180 plus, and we are around 80 something, pushing to see if we can get to 90. So no condition is ever permanent. And I will not sit here and tell myself that we have lost it all. No, we haven't lost it all. We just need to be careful to proper stock taking like we are going through now, put up a good strategy,
Right.
The marketplace is still the Ghanaian people. I don't think all decisions taken by this administration, it's too early. They've not even spent 6 months in government. So I can't come and sit here and run them down, run them through all their errors. The errors I see them commit, I'm keeping some in my pocket. There's times and seasons.
To be used against them later.
As a Christian, Ecclesiastes, when I read, teaches me something about times and seasons.
Right.
So I just don't rush in running my mouth at matters.
Very well.
I take my time. And then when proper stock-taking opportunity is presented to me, then I also say, yes, in this era, you did this, you did that, you did that, you did this. You could have done it this way. Because when I proffer some criticism, your good anchor smart person will ask me, so if it were you, what would you do alternatively? If I checking out, I'll be irresponsible. So I must guide myself and how I present my issues so that I'm not pushed to a corner I can't come out of.
Very well. Very well. Honorable Nilanti.
Well, let me say this. Every political party will have to use the two principles of life to choose a flag bearer. The realistic view and also the much more accepted principle of idealism. Ideally, I would have preferred Seth here to be the flag bearer. You understand? Because of who he is.
You have that much confidence in him.
Because of who he is.
Right.
But realistically, maybe, you know, and that is what I saw in Elvis' presentation. But you must also consider the fact that there are certain people who may be popular within the party, but will not be able to win the national elections. Right. So all those considerations should also be looked at. I also want to say this. I think that the man who Adutwum is, from his background, I wouldn't think that he will come out with his intention if he has not done a very good SWOT analysis of his chances. So he may have considered some of the parameters as Elvis envisaged. He may have done his own groundwork. He may have done his own study within the party among the delegates. He may have consulted widely to be, let me say, to measure his suitability for such a contest. Because it's not a small contest. He will spend his money, he will spend his energy, he will spend his time. So I don't think he will just get up and thrust himself into such a contest if he has not done what it needs to be done to be able to see whether you are qualified for it. And I also, for the mere fact that he came, as Elvis said, he came from outside and he was able to win a seat like Bosom Tree. And he didn't have it easy. He contested a very formidable person to become the MP. Tells me that he may have some qualities. Let's also look at somebody. There are two people in politics. Those who do their things loud and those who do it in a very unassuming manner. You understand?
Yeah.
And I see Adutwum as one of the people who wouldn't want to be out there, you know, letting everybody know what he's capable of, what he can do. So his style may be different from Ken Ejapong or Brian Achampong or no. I agree that the other contestants may have some sort of leverage because of their exposure. But I also know in politics, sometimes it is not just about the noise. There are people who can gather the much more hard-working, prominent people within the constituencies to his side. And he can shock everybody. You understand?
Yeah.
I remember when they were going to have, the MPP, the same MPP were going to have the general secretary elections or something.
Fear delegates.
Fear delegates. You know, the prominent ones all thought that everything was, but then the person who was much more strategic decided to pick people he know that within the constituencies, the police stations, have strength. The politics we do is not us. There are people down there who are much more stronger and effective than us when we get down there. And without them, nobody will even look at you when you get to that level. So once he is able to gather those people, you may do all the noise at the top. He may be on the ground with those people working. So let's not just write him off. I am convinced that any politician who will come to this level and say, I want to contest this, may have done some groundwork, and may have gotten some level of appreciation what is ahead of him. But like Elvis also said, I also believe that when you have a situation where politics sometimes, majority of these are delegates also want to go with what other people, the cliche, follow the crowd sometimes. It's also very important that you also try and make yourself be more visible. And bit more pronounced in the scheme of things, so that the ordinary person, oh, now say, oh, no cry, you understand? Once they start saying, oh, no cry, you are finished. So it is. I don't know whether I'm being biased for him, but I like him as a person, and I think he's a good person for our politics. Our politics, it's not always the abrasive people that we want to see. Sometimes we want to see people who will calm things down, people who will bring the tension down. And I think that is good. One of the key issues why people fell in love with John Dramani Mahama since his time as a member of parliament was his demeanor, his his calm disposition, and even in very difficult situations. And people sometimes like those sort of people. So I will want the delegates of the NPP to sit down and look at who will give us a fight. We are ready for the fight in 2028.
Very honorable. For the party and NPP, you think the party is in a rush to pick a leader? Because I've heard people who work for the flag bearer to win ultimately the general election are the branch executives, constituency executives, regional executives. You are not electing them, but you are going to elect a flag bearer ahead of electing them.
Well,
briefly in some 2 minutes.
Yeah, politicians, when they lose elections, they are in a hurry to fix things.
You think it's panic season?
Yes. What the NPP has done, it's a major decision. Major decision. And you see, I sat down after yesterday's discussion. I still was pondering over this. I said, look, it's like the parties need to have the second look at their constitutions. Say, in a national constitution, when a major decision like this is to be taken for a country, we put it to a referendum. Because we believe that you need to buy in from the people. See, the other one they are trying to scrap is like a referendum. Because they start it from the local level and do that before they get to the top. And the election of a flag bearer is the most important thing in the party's internal election. So you do it from the grassroots and you go. Now you want to do it from the top to down. And I think that if our national constitution recognizes that there are major decisions that we want to take, we will not even leave it to Parliament to do. We will go to the people and ask them. I think that it's a defining moment decision that has been taken if it's implemented. And I'm of the view that if you are taking a defining moment decision like this, it's important to get the buy-in of majority of your people. And I suggested that if it's possible, I know yesterday I got discussion with people who call it, but it's not in our constitution what you are saying. I say, yes, it may not be in your constitution, but what you are doing is a first. And therefore, if you decide to amend your constitution and also have a referendum on this decision, it will be another first.
Another first.
And if it goes well, it may strengthen the party beyond bounds. And I believe that if you are taking such a very major decision, a defining moment for your party, and you think that a group of people at the top take the decision, in my view, because it's a big decision, I think such decision should be given to the people and say, we want the people down there to decide. Let them vote and give us a result that if we are electing a flag bearer before they support it or not. You see, because bottom line is, it doesn't matter who the candidate is. So, it's the people down there who work for a party to win an election. You can bring anybody as a candidate. If the people down there are not satisfied with processes that led to the election of the candidate, and they decided to say, okay, you people go and win and let's see, which actually is what happens to the NPP in the last because there's a lot of dissenting issues within the party that have not really been addressed. That's what led them to opposition. You will never be able to win an election when the grassroots is not with you. And therefore, if you are taking a decision and the buy-in of the grassroots at this point is not a consideration because the party position has determined that if this group of people take a decision on behalf of the party, that is the power. I think that in my little suggestion is that this decision is so big, it's really going to be a defining moment for the NPP as a party. This is for the first time they are doing a thing like that. And I believe that it needs the generality, a buy-in of the generality of the party. Because if you go to them and they endorse it, what it means is that then they are ready to come out for you, work and bring the party to power. But if you do it in a way and manner that people feel like they have been sidelined, because already, as you said, some of the potential aspirants, their camps are angry that this thing they believe that is being done to favor somebody.
Yeah.
And that message is going down to all their supporters down there.
Yeah.
And it's important that the party listens and say, look, because this decision is attracting dissenting opinions and views, we think it's good, but we are not the only people who will bring the party to power.
Yeah.
And therefore, if we take a decision that this is what we want to do, let's give it to the generality of the party, let them decide. And let those people come and say, we want it. As Honorable has pointed and Nilanti has pointed, people are even saying that these people who are taking these decisions, they want to kick them out. But now, they are taking a decision to protect their stay in office. All these messages are going down to your grassroots.
Exactly.
In a situation where your party is already having a lot of rancor within the party, which is yet to be addressed. If you live under the view that, oh, let's push this through, after we elect the candidate, we will go and address those issues, to me, you are making a big mistake.
Right.
Because you can have your way and elect your candidate. If you come to talk to me and say, oh, let's forget about it, I have heard. When the election days come 2020, I didn't go out, you can't come and pull me to the post to go and vote for you.
Yeah.
So that idea that if they succeed in getting the flag bearer, they have 3 years to fix their problems. You can have 100 years, you never fix it, because it's not about you going to plead with the person to change his or her mind. It's about doing things in a way and manner the person will feel like things are being done differently.
Right.
And I'm satisfied with the way the things are being done. That is what will move me to work for the party. That's what will move people to say, let's support this, because we all say that if they did it this way, it is good. We are happy with it. We want to work with it. But if you are under the impression that, oh, whether people are complaining or not, once a body given the power to do it has done it, let's push it through, let's get an election. Whoever wins, they will go to the people and go and beg them and say, oh, let's forget about it. Your begging will not change the person's mind. It's about actions that you take. Whether the person believes that genuinely you want the party to go in a new direction. So I believe that people have the impression that, oh, once they have prayed 3 years, they can go and convince people. You can go and talk to people for 10 years, they won't change their mind, because the way you went about things, they are not happy. And so long as they are not happy about how you went about things, they can look at your face and smile with you.
Yeah.
But the actual work they are supposed to do down there,
It won't happen.
and on election day for them to move and go and queue and vote, they will not go. You can't go
Right.
and pull them out. So I'll advise the NPP that, look, the body empowered by the constitution to do it has done something. But as I said, I'm of the view that this is a major decision. So if our constitution as Ghana takes such major decisions and say, go to the people and let them decide, so that you have their buy-in into what we are doing, I'll suggest the NPP, I know it's not their constitution to do that,
Right.
but at this defining moment, they lost election just about 6 or 7 months ago. They don't need to rush. They can elect the candidate in June or July next year. If they can look from now to July next year and say, let's take 1 year and rethink this thing properly. Even if it's the solution, let the larger majority in a referendum tell us that the way you want to do it, this is it. Or we think that if we have to elect the flag bearer first, we don't want the delegates who elected the previous right to elect them. Maybe scrap it and let everybody in the party vote. Take your time and get a decision and a buy-in from the larger membership of the party.
Right.
But this idea that the National Executive Committee is the empowered to take those such decisions, and that as they have taken it, they took it on behalf of everybody. In my view, look, we'll be looking at things differently. I was telling somebody yesterday that when we sit here, we say China is a communist party state. If you don't go to China, they don't explain. You don't know that there are even smaller parties in China. There are smaller parties. And you'll be surprised that when you see the Communist Party having their elections, you'll be surprised that it started from the grassroots. And even those opposition parties have made inputs and contributions. So the way we have captured things in this country, once it is written in law, we think that it's not subject to change. I think that political parties should be looking at their constitution. The times these constitutions were written, the Gen Z's mindset was not there. Now we have Gen Z's mindset. As the youth, that constitutional majority, if you're able to do things and they are happy with the way you did it, they will be willing to follow you.
Very well. Very well, very well. Thank you very much, Elvis. Let's move on to the matter of asset declaration. John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, is directing the MMDCEs to declare their assets by July 15. And then yesterday at the vetting of Supreme Court Judge nominee, Justice Amali Buba, she also suggested that perhaps we should have a CI to enforce sanctions on those who flout this particular directive. Honorable Champon, I'll start with you on this. Assets declaration, the current regime, what you make of it, and of course, MMDC is being directed to declare the assets by July 15.
MMDCs are represented His Excellency the President. His Excellency the President, when he takes office, declares his assets. The current regime is even that before he is even elected into office, he puts up all those assets before the state, and it is locked up at the Controller and Accountant General's office. And so these are matters that are happening. Members of Parliament, before they are elected, are supposed to file. And District Chief Executive representing His Excellency the President, I don't think is far-fetched. They are public officers, and so they must follow through. It is just for the efficiency of it. That is why I believe the President said that now that they are all in office and they are working in his stead, they must go through the right procedure.
Yeah.
So I think it is something that the President is calling for the right things to be done administratively. And I don't have any worries at all about it, because we should all be transparent. And we should also get...
But is the current regime transparent enough?
No. If we
Who sees
believe,
what is declared?
Oh, I cannot say that you should come and publish it to the entirety of society.
Right.
That is why you have people in trust, positions of trust. And so a public servant, a civil servant who have emerged and sit at the head of a state institution is not just ordinary. They are also honest, because most of them have taken commissions to serve the state responsibly. There are norms and practices. You can't just throw everything out there. Akin to our conversation we were having earlier ago, I would always defend most of the things that needs to be defended. I wouldn't say that it is wrong. It is right. And the current regime, for me, it's transparent enough. Why? Because where you look it up, people must begin to follow up to see whether what people spelled out there are the reality. It is the responsibility. It just, for me, walking the talk and ensuring that our implementations are done effectively. Once the implementations are done effectively, there's nothing wrong. We have a very beautiful constitution. We have a very beautiful regulations and instruments backing the constitution when rightfully followed through, enforced. We are a beautiful country, and I will not shy away from that.
Very well.
Let me just steal 1 minute from you, if you permit me.
Briefly.
The decision which has been taken by my political party, it's not just a decision by the current leadership of the party. We have had 2 reviews since we lost the elections. Professor Michael Quay was sent out there to go and do a post-mortem report.
Right.
Besides that, the party allowed party members to bring up propositions. So those propositions are all part of the matters that have been put together. And that is why the party came to spell these things out to the general public.
Very well.
I don't want anybody to underrate and believe and think that members of the party do not have that right. And members of the party do not know what is happening. I defend my political party on that ground because we have Gen Zs as well.
Very well.
And our Gen Zs, are, for instance, a decision which has been taken, some Gen Zs are fighting it, but it's because a decision to drop the youth age. Some Gen Zs don't believe in it.
Very well.
But that is a matter we are going to debate later. And so I just want everybody to understand that we are not doing things in a corner.
Granted.
We are very much aware of the temperature we live in.
Very well, thank you. I'll come to the Honorable Nilante Vandapoy, but let me take a break here. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne Television. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on assets declaration. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Grateful that you stayed on with us. You're watching Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne TV. We're still in the news review segment. Just before the break, we started a conversation on assets declarations and the President's directives to the MMDCEs vis-a-vis the proposal by the Supreme Court Judge nominee, Justice Amali Boba, for a CI to enforce sanctions on those who fail to declare their assets. Let me...
Amali Boba.
Amali Boba.
Mention her full name.
Hafisata Amali Boba. Yes, so let me come to you, Honorable Nilante Vandapoy. I mean, you have been at the helm of local governance in this country for a long period. So your take on this assets declaration matter, especially for the MMDCEs?
Well, let me say, I don't see the fuss about assets declaration. I think it is something that every Ghanaian must know, that once you are called to public office, it's a requirement. It's a requirement. It's a sine qua non. There's nothing you can do about it. So sometimes when I hear colleagues having problems with, and what does it take? In fact, when you go to the controller's office, it doesn't take you more than 15, 20 minutes to be done.
Yeah.
You understand? It's difficult for me to comprehend why some people will flout such a simple conditionality for you to occupy public office. Unless you have something to hide. Seriously. Because me, sitting here, when I got my appointment letter, within 3 days, I went and took the form. Because in Parliament, we always do it before we enter Parliament, and we do it on our exit of Parliament.
Yeah.
It's a requirement. In fact, your caucus will ensure that it's done. So, and we've done it all the time. I don't know, but let me say, when I even heard that some of my colleagues' appointees had failed to comply with the directive, I was like, what? Did it really happen? You understand? Because I don't know. I don't know. And so I will urge the MMDCs that they are small fishes as compared to the ministerial appointees. They can be sacked anytime. It doesn't require anything for the president to sack them. And I will urge them, as young politicians coming up, some of them are very young, to take the president's notice. Very, very important. And all of them, if they haven't done it already, because some of them should have done it by now.
Yeah.
If they have not done it already, to take immediate steps that before they leave Accra after the orientation, all of them will have done it before going back. Because if you have an asset, you know. Yeah. You know, it's not a mystery for you to have an asset and wouldn't know where it is. It to be incomprehensible for me to say that I own this land and I don't know I own the land. You know, so declare whatever you have. Declare, and the point is that definitely in coming to public office, you may get one or two situations where you may get another asset. Declare. If you believe that you use a very genuine, a very, let me say, legitimate means of acquiring that asset, what stops you from declaring?
Perhaps that's where the challenge is. Perhaps these assets are not commensurate with the incomes of these persons.
I wouldn't want to sit here and defend anyone, but as far as I would say I am concerned, I don't think I have acquired any asset illegitimately. So I'm always proud enough to declare my assets. And I do it very convincingly. And I expect everybody to do it. I also will agree with the illustrious Supreme Court nominee that in order to ensure that such a very important form of accountability in people or by people who are appointed to public office is respected, I will also agree with the CI to make it a bit more stringent. deterrent enough for people to know that once you refuse to do, you flouted such a regulation, and then these are the consequences. People should be able to have that that sort of fear in our legal and, let me say, regimes that we put in place to ensure transparency and accountability. I will urge that we take this thing very serious. I will even go further and say, look, even Parliament as an institution should have something like a midterm review.
Okay.
That people who hold parliamentary positions, seats, and by the midterm have not declared their assets, should have a way of suspending them from Parliament. Serious. So that in every aspect of our public office, let me say office, you would really have the consciousness to know that these are the responsibilities I'm supposed to adhere to, and these are the responsibilities I'm supposed to go by. And then
does the current regime prefer any sanctions?
No. If the sanctions are there, the president wouldn't come out and say, I will sanction you, I will dismiss you, I will fine you, as it happened. So we need to. And a lot of people have talked about that particular. Maybe if it's not one of the issues that the Constitutional Review Committee is looking at, I will want us to look at that constitutional provision very well.
Because if there are no sanctions, then of course...
It's become, and people have even advocated that, look, that thing should, the confidentiality involved in that should be scaled down to make it possible for Elvis here to require, under the information RTI, to require to look into my assets. You understand? If I declared this and I come to office and Elvis has any reason to believe that I have misconducted myself in acquiring this property, he should be able to have that information to do a reconciliation of what I declared and what he presumed I have now, so that he can have that information to know whether the facts or the sort of information he had is true or not. So we should make it easy for all of us to feel comfortable in acquiring property legitimately, disposing of them legitimately, and not get a situation whereby people think that I can find my own way of hiding things when I'm in public office. So I totally agree with the president. I totally agree with the Supreme Court nominee. And I totally agree with all those adherents to the principle of accountability and transparency in government through the declaration of assets.
Very well. Thank you, Honorable. Elvis, assets declaration and sanctions for non-compliance.
I think I back both the president and the Supreme Court Justice. The current Senegalese president, young man. When he was elected, before even he was sworn in, he openly put it out. This is what I have before I'm taking public office. He didn't wait for any law to come and tell him that declare assets. He said, these are my assets. As of today that I'm going to become president. This is what I own. So it's there for anybody to know. So if tomorrow somebody sees that this president own an asset somewhere else, the person can just say, the list that he put out that is his asset, I think that the man has added something and should be accountable for it. And nothing says that if you declare an asset to say this is what I have, if you are public or you can't add to it. The law doesn't say that. You can add as many as so long as the source of the income you are using to add to it is genuine. That is why when people say it should not be made public, I said, what is wrong with it to be made public?
So I think that confidentiality
and you come to public office and you can add another 2 cars, and the source of the money you are using to buy the additional 2 cars is not a public stolen public money, but genuinely maybe your father left some assets, some property for you have sold, or your land somewhere has now been shown to have gold, and a concession is given, and you get royalties, and the royalties is paid to you by government. It's the legitimate source of money. if you have an extra business before becoming a public appointee, and you do the necessary declarations for public to know that this is it.
Yeah.
But the business is being managed by A, and they manage the business in 3 years. They say they made so much profit, and that part of the profit has been paid to you as the owner of the business, and you used to go and acquire assets. You have not committed any crime. So you see, the impression people think that if you declare that you have this, they assume that it means that when you're in a public office, you're not supposed to acquire any asset. That is not the issue. The only thing that we want to prevent is for somebody to dip his or her own hand into public funds,
right,
to go and acquire assets which should not be his own. That's why we want to know, what did you have
before
by the time
assuming
you came to power?
the role?
We are not saying that when you are in power, don't add. But we are saying that if you are adding to what you already have before coming to power, we should be able to establish that where you are getting the money to add all those properties are legitimate sources of what? Money making. So I don't see why anybody should be scared of openly saying, this is what I have becoming public office. If 4 years you are exiting office, and you say within the 4 years I've added A, B, C, D. These are the sources. The accounts in which the monies came through and everything. You have paid the right taxes on the monies that have come to you. Why should you be scared of people getting to know that once in public office you made $2 million and then you bought this and that and that? There's nothing wrong with it. So I don't see why we are scared. That, okay, okay. 2 million. Let's say you made 2 million.
2 million cedis.
Okay, which is far above your salary for the 2 years. Okay, and you use it to acquire assets. And the right taxes have been paid to the government of Ghana on those monies. Who is going to say that there's anything wrong with it? So I think that we need to disabuse the minds of people to understand that nobody is saying that you cannot acquire assets whilst in public office. What we are interested in is that you are going to preside over public funds. And we want to make sure that the public funds you are presiding over do not end up buying properties for yourself.
Right.
Okay. So we want to make sure that if you are acquiring assets whilst in public office, the sources of the money are legitimate. And the ones that you pay to government in terms of taxes on that you are paying. We don't mind how many assets you acquire in public office. So I believe that the Supreme Court judge is spot on.
Yeah.
I think when the CI is done, it will spell out all these things. And then people become clear and say, oh, then the asset declaration is not anything that anybody should be scared of. But at this current, you say, put it in an envelope and keep it somewhere. You are keeping it at that place. How will I know that if Honorable has 2 houses here, how will I know that it's part of what he has declared before I be challenging it as a journalist? I will not know what he has declared. And I cannot say that, oh, this house is not part of what has been declared. But if that is a public information, and I know Honorable now owns a house here, and I say, but it's not part of what he declared. Okay, let me go and find out. Why did the Honorable get money to buy this? So that I can establish the source of the money and make sure that it's a genuine money. It's a simple principle. So I think that as far as we are all calling for transparency, it's important. MMDCEs are direct representatives of the president. Okay? So they must do it. They must do it. And everybody who is in public office, and not even only people who are, I think that, you see, this asset declaration team, we have made it like it's for politicians. Look, everybody that is heading public institutions at the level of a director and above, I believe that they should all declare their assets. You are holding public office. The way we are scared that a politician will declare because we think you go and steal. Who said that the head, the CEO or the directors there may not be stealing public money? Who said that? They are all in charge of public funds.
Not to cut you.
You understand it?
I've been in public office. 30 years been in public office. We don't handle cash. You don't have any direct access to money.
To money.
You understand?
And those who
are not dispensing officers.
Right.
A minister or even you don't.
But those with direct access are not declaring their assets.
Their assets. And
So
So perhaps we should expand or extend it.
All you do is
Do you
just
understand
sign
it?
an authorization.
And you see, it's become a layer for the anti-corruption fight.
Right.
Because somebody sits in public office and is acquiring assets, I cannot ask why the person acquiring because. But if the person is mandated to declare his or her asset, do you know the amount of money that chief executive directors and people sign off for people in this country every day, every month, every week? But we are not interested in checking those people. People are in charge of accountability institutions. If you know the asset they own, people tell you, oh, I know this person working at GRA, I know the asset the person owns. I know this person working at NPP, I know how much the asset the person. Nobody is saying that these are all public institutions and
they're
therefore
always politicians.
and it's always about politicians. And so the politicians, they should take interest in this and say that this asset declaration, as the Supreme Court judge has said, when we are doing that CI, we expand it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That so long as you hold public office anywhere in this country, you must also declare asset, because the main objective is to protect the public purse. But people who are in charge of huge volumes of money, who are signing off monies every now and then of public funds, we are not interested in knowing how they are making money, how they are getting assets. But we are interested in only because it's a group of people called politicians.
Let me just say, just yesterday, one of these MMDCEs came to me, I can't believe it. I just want to say this. 1 month that he's been in office, he says, all that he heard that the account of the assembly has been garnished. As to where the judgment came from, as to who has garnished the account, he has no idea. He has asked for information. It's not coming. So every day that the revenue of the assembly is paid into a particular account, he doesn't know what.
There's a district revenue officer who is collecting all those,
the finance officer,
who is checking the finance officer's assets. Who is checking the finance officer's assets? So you see, we made the law, and the politicians, they made the law. So the politicians should know that if we have to fix this thing and remove the pressure from them, as I said, if you are this, are you the one going to sign the check? If you are a minister, are you they will do all the work, and bring you the final product. They sign here, sign here.
So you are just giving approvals.
You are just like a conveyor belt. But those who are actually making sure that the money moves and all those things, we have not asked them to declare the assets. And that's why the CI has to be done. And when it is being done, please don't leave it to. Don't focus on the politicians. Everybody holding public office at a certain level and above and has the power to authorize
some payments
must be included in asset declaration. I can tell you that the corruption fight we are fighting, this will be one of the ways we can actually make the corruption fight effective. Look, you know, I know, we are journalists. There are so many people in public office, the assets they own. And if you ask about their salary, and say this is their salary, you ask yourself, how is this person able to own all these assets?
Worlds apart.
Worlds apart. But then the public is not interested that this person works in a public institution. He doesn't own a private company. But the person owns all these assets. And the person, his salary is 3,000. And when he's coming to work, he wear a shirt that part of it is torn, and wear a shoe that half of it is gone, to pay the impression that his or her salary is so bad that it's not actually making any money. Meanwhile, behind the door, the man is a millionaire who owns so many assets. You go to his house, there are about 4 V8 that have tap. When he's going to private events, he takes it. But when he comes to work, you come with Uber. So that you say that this man doesn't have money. But these are people who are making fucking money. And I think the one that person will come and say 4 and 8 years, that person is there 30 years until he retires.
Very well.
40 years until he retires, there. And it's making public money. Nobody wants to ask how is that person. So we must expand it. The CI must expand it that as long as you hold public office from a certain level and above, you all must declare your assets. So that when I see you build a house next to me, maybe we are all journalists.
I'll go and check.
And we all know that things are not good. And then I find out that now you work in public office. And in 5 years, your life has transformed more than my own. And I know that when we're in the journalism profession, things were not good. How come you move to public sector in 5 years, your life is changing? Then I can ask questions. But now, you can't get anybody in public office and say, I'm asking a question. Why did you build your assets? Because there's no one that permits me to do that.
Elvis, thank you. Honorable Jumper, a final take on this, 1 minute.
You see, it is beautiful. That's why I love democracy.
Right.
So as we are maturing, we are beginning to see where we have to go take the Auditor General's report that we are in June. It will be filing most of the reports soon in Parliament. And read them and look at where we have the infractions. And this is something which is not new to us. It is happening regularly and it's periodic. And so for me, I'm happy we are holding this conversation. It tells me that we are deepening our practice and the dispensation is maturing. We just have to keep it. I would not sacrifice our democratic dispensation for any other system of governance. I believe in it, and I know it offered me an opportunity to also express myself. Others should gain the opportunity to get on board. And as people who are fortunate enough to be in government office, i.e. civil servants and public servants, must also promote that. And I'm happy that media has also picked up some of these narratives.
Yeah.
The conversation is coming up. Now we are beginning. I love your channel, not for anything, but you do a lot of developmental conversations. You know, this is just of, I've monitored you in the few days talking about what your intentions are and how you are, as a private entity, trying to promote agriculture. I mean, in our economy, there's an agrarian economy, I always say. And anybody promoting this, I give thumbs up to your entity. You're doing so much.
Very well. Then we hope to see you this weekend. The Agri Fair is happening from tomorrow to Sunday at the Ifwa Children's Park.
I have too many students who are arresting me.
Very well. Honorable Vandapoe, wrap up on this story.
Well, let me say it's a good thing, and I totally agree with Elvis on this, and I think that the media should be the one who should really advance the advocacy on the expansion of the network for the declaration of assets. It is not fair to always focus asset declaration on political office holders. You understand? There are more people in public service, in civil service, who are getting corrupted by the day with the lenses of them. You understand? Look, if like do your own cursory analysis or research, go to Chado, West Legon, and those places, and go and search for those houses and know the owners of those houses. 70% of those houses are not owned by politicians, but by people in public offices who have been insulated from this
asset declaration
regime. So I think that anybody that holds any office of public accountability must also declare his assets.
Very well. Very well.
It shouldn't be only the so-called Article 71 office holders. It must go beyond that.
Right.
So that we can comprehensively say that, look, we are fighting corruption.
Very well.
Because the politician, as we have all analyzed, it's not the one who really pays the bills.
Yeah.
And sometimes we become instruments. We just sit there, set about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, set is tired, he has to leave his office. You see heap of files. You know, say, we are very important, sign mine and say,
yeah. And now, at that point, you are human. You may not be able to peruse the documents thoroughly.
Invoices, you can. And then you sign, and some other people are sitting somewhere, and they will be enjoying on it, and then you are the one who's
it's your name that's being dragged.
It's important that all of us, I know that this practice is in Kenya.
Okay.
Now, Kenyans have adopted it. I've heard it's also in Botswana, where even civil servants, teachers, everybody declare assets. You understand? And where your asset is published.
Right.
It's published.
Right.
You understand? So a whole graphic, today we are publishing the list of MPs and their assets.
Right.
So that if you live in a community, you can no, correct. Or
yes.
You understand? Then you can also bring that
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, people will still conceal certain information in the asset declaration.
Thank you. Elvis, 30 seconds.
I think we agree. See, the large chunk of the money, I'm happy Honorable referred to the Auditor General's report. If you take the past 10 years of the report, all the infractions then are not by politicians. They are these civil servants in office. But all these infractions are happening and nobody is asking. So all the money is going to these people in their pocket and we don't have ways of checking how they are making this money.
Right.
So the way of accountability is not only a group of politicians.
Right. Right.
At the parliamentary sitting, the public accounts committee sitting, you become a minister. 3 months, 4 months down the line, you are going to sit down
and be
answering the questions
on this.
Chop that has happened before your time.
When they say contract
thank you.
Who negotiated
the contract? Where are the technical directors and the chief directors? Thank you so much, gentlemen. This has been good.
You become a minister. Somebody spent money in 2024. You come and inherit it. You come and inherit and defend it.
Thank you so much. This has been the news review segment here on Breakfast Daily. My name is Nanatufo Boateng. Stay with us here on Channel One TV. Breakfast Daily continues after this.